Hello, my name is Lex Hall, and my group has chosen me as the presenter for black box testing. What is black box testing? Black box testing is a method of software testing that examines the functionality of an application without peering into its internal structures or workings. This method of test can be applied to virtually every level of software testing: unit, integration, system, and acceptance, and many more. So where is it applicable? Like previously stated, this method is applicable to nearly every level, including integration testing, system testing, and acceptance testing. The higher the level, and hence the bigger and more complex the box, the more black box testing method comes into use. Techniques. There are several techniques that are used when using black box testing. The first is equivalence partitioning. This is where input is categorized based on similarity of expected outcome. This streamlines the input and output, reducing the number of repetitions required. Boundary value analysis. As the name suggests, this technique focuses on the extremes of each side of the required allowance to ensure proper functionality and output integrity. Decision table testing. This technique helps to ensure and establish logical relationships between output. State transition testing. This utilizes state transition graphs to ensure that systems respond correctly. Error guessing. This method uses the tester's own intuition to randomly probe areas that are logically more prone to errors or problems. This also tests common user mistakes. This is also one of the most common areas of black box testing. And finally, comparison testing. Different independent versions of the same software are used to compare each other in this form of black box testing. What this basically means is that if you have a new version, you can compare that newer version with an older version to determine if the change that you made is relevant and applicable to what you need it to do. There are many advantages of black box testing. First, tests are done from a user's point of view, and this helps in exposing discrepancies in the specifications. Next, unbiased tests, because the designer and tester work independently. It also facilitates the identification of contradictions and vagueness in functional specifications. Test cases can be designed as soon as the specifications are complete. This means that you can begin to code as you have the test cases in mind. And finally, the tester does not need to know the programming languages or how the software is exactly implemented, because this is looking at the functionality, not the implementation. The disadvantages. It is redundant. This is because in order to accurately have black box testing, you have to do it many, many times. The tests are extremely difficult to design without a clear specification. If you don't know what the program is, you can't have a test for it. But this disadvantage probably goes with many different kinds of testing. Testing every possible input is not generally possible. This leaves potential unknowns. And that's because you're testing from the user side, you could potentially have millions of users and you won't know what each user is going to do. This type of testing is not for code segments. This is just for functionality. Accurate testing does require a very skilled tester, as the tester needs to understand what users might do and needs to understand what the specification is exactly. Accuracy and effectiveness decrease with the size and complexity of the project. So this is really used for smaller scale operations or smaller sections of a bigger project. And here's an example. So a tester is tasked with testing an online store web page. He decides to use error guessing strategy to begin with, testing various inputs that would be incorrect or known to not be applicable. He moves on to pressing buttons repeatedly and using certain key combinations in an attempt to uncover previously hidden errors or bugs an average user may run across. He then records and reports his findings to determine if anything will need to be reevaluated. Thank you very much, and I hope this helps you learn about black box testing.